computers.
Yeah, and the other guys, they can catch up. We've got the recordings up on the things if they're a little late coming in.
Okay, perfect. All right, so you want to go?
Yeah, we can go.
All right, let's do this. Let me share the screen.
How about you? How's your abbreviated install?
It's going well. I mean, we're doing football school right now, and just because we still have some time on. July 27th is when we're starting.
Yeah.
But I told the players this that there's no point in me passing out a playbook if we don't even speak the same language yet. So let's take the time to kind of get comfortable with what we're talking about. I'll just kind of explain how I look at offense and defensive football so that it's almost full transparency. Like, this is kind of what we're going to do, but my hope is to kind of give them the foundation of the game and not just box them in to say this is what I do, really showing them in the time when it doesn't matter, in June, this is why we're going to do these things. And this is, especially in the run game, this is why we're going to run wide zone and the things that can come off it, so it's been good. It's been good to get back around and get lathered up again. All right. So in the man-free world, so it's man-free, but it's match in the sense that there's a lot of switching that happens. There's built-in stack busters. And so you kind of get the advantages of man coverage merged with the benefits of cover 3. And really this gets interesting with 3x1 and the Y off stuff. That's where it really gets interesting. I'm going to tell you how I play it. I'm going to tell you how, like, the Saban guys play it. And then you kind of decide, like, potentially what could work best for you. But I got a bunch of film on this one also. So most people, here comes Cole, let's admit. So most people will agree, like, 2x2, this is the way that everybody plays match from an alignment standpoint. The differences will start getting into what happens with 3x1, but 2x2, pretty much everybody plays it this way. Now, I put these two guys are relating to the tailback here. Really, they are hook players, but they're tied to a string with him. So, if 3 exits this way, you're going to lose the hook player to this side, and now he becomes a middle hook player, if that makes sense. If you end up with a situation where, he steps up and blocks, now you're going to end up with 2 hook players. And really it's protecting the inside slants and those quick routes because of the leverage that is played with the guys on the outside of it. The way that I play this is the free safety is always in the middle of the field. There's some people that will call it an auto down, the switch between the rover and the free safety. I think it's easier. Our 3x1 adjustment is the free safety is always in the middle of the field. So there's going to be some language that we play here with buddy stuff, and that's just kind of built-in switch stuff. And we'll kind of talk through more of that when we get to the film and the simulation part of it. And then talking from a front standpoint, so this is an important concept, like understanding where everybody goes. So this defense, these guys are gap defenders. So these are box players. They're going to need to stay in their gap and hammer their gap the entire way. And the same thing is true on the second level, or on the first level. These ends, if you remember from cover 9 and cover 2, we get spilled everything to these guys. In the man coverage world, you can't. Obviously, if we're asking this guy to man up number 2, he can't be involved in the run fit also. So this guy is going to set an edge right there, and that's the way that he's going to go through. Load up this so we can go through those things also. So that's just from a front standpoint, from a rule standpoint. And then because of that, I always pair this with back G, meaning the three technique's going to go to the tailback side. And really that's more in the zone read game, because if you got something that looks like that, we're not going to exchange them or replace. These guys are going to fit here because they're relating to three, and that puts the end on the quarterback. And if you remember the option rules, that whenever an end has a three technique, he's going to be a cut to keep player in the option world. So, if you're playing a team that the quarterback is not a running threat, this is not as big of a deal. But I think it's important to kind of discuss that you can't ask these guys to relate to three, but then also like exchange and replace on these guys, and wrap for a quarterback or something like that. So that's why I think it's important when you're in the man-free world, you have to think about how you're going to take on, take on the edges and what you're going to do on the first level, and the second level also. So that's just kind of how we work through on the front standpoint. So here's the 3x1 version. Let me load this up so I can get this going. So in 3x1, and this is the way that I play this. This is, there's a number of different ways to play this. I'll talk about the adjustments later. But here's the reason why I like this one. The main reason is when we call match, the free safety knows that he's going to be in the middle of the field. So he knows, like, this isn't a big deal. I know that I'm in the middle of the field. There's no rover playing in the middle of the field and the free safety spinning down. It's like, this is what it is. Now, if you're an odd front team, which you guys are, you may want to experiment with, the free safety rolling down, because now you can send the field overhang rather than always sending the boundary overhang. But that's something that you can discuss. So the rules would end up being the same thing. Let's just kind of put this in an odd world. So pretend that you guys have these, and I'll just put it in my language. The bandit, and then you have the whip. So if you want to send the whip, the free safety is going to be taking his spot, and the rover is here, which means it's the bandit is going to be matching with the backer. You guys good with that? I know that picture doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
But, we really run this more out of the even front, so we don't bring pressure with this. It's just the four guys, and the whip stays the whip, or the nickel stays the nickel. So that's why I believe it fit what we did better by leaving the free safety there. Now, if you're majoring in the odd front, it's a little bit different. So, we can talk about that once we get through everything. But the key piece here out of the even front, or really it doesn't matter if you're in the odd front or not, but if you're going to play it this way, the mic and the whip, you'll notice that there's Buddy right between these guys. And this is, I personally think this is the best way to play it with an attached tight end. I think this is the best way to do it, but it really works with the removed number 3 also. But so what ends up happening is that these guys are buddying this. And so notice the leverage, the Y and the mic is going to be inside of Y, and then the whip is going to be doing his thing, being outside of number 2. So, what ends up happening is the buddy part of this is that if you get a stem out or in from one of these guys right off the line of scrimmage, it just becomes a natural switch. So let's say you got something that looks like this. These guys would trade this off. Now, if they both stem vertically, and then let's say someone breaks, at 5 yards or something like that, we're owning this, and we just got to live with it. Okay, so the buddy rules is if you get something right now, like let's say you got that, he would push this right now to the mic, and they would switch it off. Okay, and I'm not saying that this is like the only way to do this. It's just that this is the way that we defined the switch stuff. So if you got something similar but more of like a levels deal like this, that would not be switched because he stemmed vertical. and we just have to live with it. And I got some film off this that we can see it. So that's
Where
the
do
buddy
you,
rule.
where do you make that determination? Do you make that determination within 2 to 3 yards of the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, it really just kind of like 2 to 3, I think is naturally like where it occurs, but we don't even talk about depth really. It's just more like it makes sense. Like because of the speed of which it happens, you know, it just like naturally passes itself off. And I'll show you on film, you know, I've never actually used landmarks on the field to switch it off. It's just like, think about it, guys. Like they moved on the snap. You know, we're standing there for a second. It's like, this just makes sense for you to take that guy and me to take this guy. And I'll show you that.
As a basketball guy, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, just don't overthink it. Like,
Yeah.
I think with the, you know, cover 9 and the speed stuff, like that you have to declare. Like you have to, like this is the deck. But with switching stuff, it's just like sort it out. And you obviously have to, you know, rep it and things like that. But that's why I really like to exaggerate the leverage here. So these guys know it's like, yeah, he could exit fast right now, but that's why the buddy rule is in place. And we know that we're protected in the middle of the field with the free safety. If you remember, for both cover 9 and cover 2, China calls are still in play. Some people don't play match coverage with China. I personally love it. But you know, you guys, if you're going to be more of like press out here on your match deal, China's probably not going to be anything for you. They're probably not going to be running hitches to the field anyways, but that's a different thing. But I think under calls and China calls are really important to hammer through on this. And I think this is where, and that's true in 2x2, not just 3x1, but China and under, you know, China is where 1 hitches up, under is when one drives in, and and again, it just makes it a natural switch. So if you got, let's just say if you got smash right here, this is what this would look like. So it would be a China call. The whip would go there. He would undercut the corner out. And people say, well, what happens if he runs a post? It's like, well, if he runs a post, we got a post player.
Free safety, yeah.
Yeah, that's why he's there. Yeah, so like, you know, that's what I think is the best part about this coverage, and that's why I think China is great to fit like this. You know, that's why I like this. So that's going to be there now. So from a 3x1 standpoint, when you go back to 2x2, you have 2 box people relating to the tailback. In our version of the adjustment of the 3x1, you do also. You know, it's just the rover is the other guy. But I think like this guy, what I like most about it, rather than spinning safeties and those things, what I like best about this is you don't know what coverage you're getting. You know, like we could get cover 3. You know, this could be, you know, you could line up the free safety right here, and this looks just like sync does, you know, that we went over last time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like, whereas if you, and I'm going to just cover these guys up, if you went, you know, remember, so the whip's going, you know, so he goes. If you put the free safety there and the rover here, and there is no one in the middle of the field, or sorry, in the boundary, or if you said, we're going to leave the mic and the backer relating here, and the free safety is going to relate to the Y, and the rover is going to be here, you know, there's no question of what you're doing, you know, and then this kid better hold up.
Right.
You know, and obviously this picture looks worse than it is, but your backer's probably going to be here, but it's still not an overhang. You know,
right.
You're still not fooling anybody on what you're doing. Whereas if you go ahead. Sorry, Jason.
No, that's all right. Go ahead. I'll get it after.
So what I like about this is that, you know, you could put the rover right there and the free safety right here, and on the snap get into this. You know, and it could be, are they in 9? Are they in match? Are they in 2? You know, you have no idea. And even though the rover's relating to the H, in this case it's 4 strong, but he's now protecting this kid just by his presence. You know, he still is a B gap defender. You know, we're playing back G, so it's, you know, it's an easy fit. You know, like, I just think this way you can disguise your coverage a lot more.
Mhm.
And not tip your hand in the man free, which is,
Yeah,
I think, what hurts it.
right. Now, have you played around with, especially when they've got an attached tight end, have you played around with the adjustment to where at, you know, certain times, or, you know, especially, you know, identifiable passing downs, if you have a team that does utilize their tight end pretty heavily, will you play around with sliding these two over? So sliding the back over into the rover position, and then the Mike over into the back, and then moving the rover down into the Mike position?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's where there's no doubt, like, you could get this same alignment. So absolutely, you can get that alignment with
Because then
different
you
people.
still have Backer and Mike
Yep.
strung to the tailback, and then you kind of put the rover and pass
Yeah,
with it.
there's no question. Now, this is where I always make fun of not make fun of the guys, but like, I consider the rover to be a good player in coverage. The backer I consider not to be a good player in coverage. And even though I've had some good backers and things like that, we always say, like, this is not 2 good people over 1.
Right.
I think putting the backer out here sends a message to the quarterback saying, you guys aren't serious about this. And that's just kind of my opinion by putting the rover here. But there is no question you can rotate these guys around. Absolutely.
Well, we have based on personnel, we've got some backers that will play that will be more coverage savvy than other backers. So that's where we have some flexibility with our personnel, is even though somebody's spun up as a backer like that and he's a decent backer, we can also, it's reverse. We can take him out and he can still play really good pass coverage, whereas our other backers are, like you said, where they're more of a traditional backer and they're not really that great.
Yeah. So that might be your thing there. Because I try to take this and as much as possible, like, make this as common sense as you can. It's like, you know, it's 3rd and 10. And I do this with the Mike in the backer. Let's just take it between 2 guys. You know, if you know it's going to be a pass and the B is a better cover guy than the M, just switch.
Right.
You know, like, who cares? Like, you know, like, as long as everybody's doing what that guy is supposed to be doing, like, it really doesn't matter. As long as someone's doing something that the concept is supposed to be accomplishing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's really what we're looking for. Go a little bit, get to match coverage here. Okay, so there's the 3x1 stuff. We talked about a little bit about this a couple weeks ago with the Y off in the Bronco stuff. So this, in my opinion, is like the best thing going. I think it's this coverage that I think can be a killer if you're playing those teams that run a ton of Y off. And I use this language. I got it from Bud Foster. It calls it the AFC, which is automatic formation check. And like, if I was, and really we did this, it kind of automatically happened, but like, this to me is an automatic, unless we had pressure called, this is how we would play this. It would be an automatic formation check where it's like, you get into Y off, it's like, screw you, we're going to this right now. Now it falls into the match world, but like, it doesn't necessarily have to be. Like, whereas I think, like, you could call cover 9, and if they come out in this, I think getting into match coverage, which is this right here, I think is a good way to go. So you're getting 2 high safeties. They are ratting these guys right. These guys are looking at the Y. So you look at this, everybody else is doing the exact same thing. and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, it just gets us the ability to add that extra gap. If the offense adds that extra gap, we can now insert that player. But same concept. These guys are going to be wired into number 3, and if they got like a pull or something like that, these guys would go. But if you got this, these guys ignore the slice. They are gap fitters. You know what I mean? That's an important thing, because I know a lot of people handle this differently. It's just me personally. When we are in this coverage, we don't consider him to be a puller. Now, if you played it like this, so let me see if I can get a blank canvas. Hang on a second. See if I can get. We get to the end zone on this play, and this might be good. Okay. So let's just take this here right now. So in theory, this is the Y. You don't have to yin and yang this thing if you didn't want to. You could play it would be the Mike, the backer in a 10, and then the rover in the box. Like, so you can play it like 3-by-1 and almost treat it like a 2-back deal. Now, if he slices, these guys got to pull the string. You know what I mean? So like they're going to be going with the pulls. If you treat it like let me go back. If you treat it like a 3-man box. So if you screw him down and bump these guys over. So pretend he's not there, pretend he's not there. So now this is the way that you handle the Y slice across on the second level. Me personally, I like it better handled on the third level, because then it just keeps these guys there and wired into their guards, in my opinion. So I don't know which way kind of works best with what you guys are doing now or what you guys believe, but those are like kind of the two philosophies from it. Okay, so this is, I guess the last one is empty, and I don't have a slide for it because it's pretty easy. If you end up in empty, the rover's on the number 2. There's only one guy now relating to the short hole. You know, so that this is a good empty adjustment also. Okay, so this is match right here. So 52 is the Mike. Now this one we're bringing pressure off this one. This isn't a good example, sorry. Let me go to a different one. Okay, so here's the Mike. Here's the whip. Free safety. And then here's the rover. Backer's right here. And I think we're actually a nickel, but so you can see what's happening here. So as soon as, let's just kind of work left to right. So there, this is 4 strong, but like as soon, this is the rover right here. So he's looking, and this is so this kid right here played for me at the high school I was at before I went to this college, and then came to college with me. So we've been together for 7 years, running the same defense. So like this kid, it was
like breathing.
I mean, like this kid is phenomenal. I mean, like, and I mean, it was just so cool this way. But like, watch the way that he plays this. You see where his eyes are? So you can see the quarterback's face mask. He knows that it's 4 strong, so the tailback is not really a threat to him. So look at what he does. Like you can see where he wants to go. You know, now this ends up being pretty shitty because he should have been right here picking this ball up and scoring a touchdown. But like the concept of what he's doing is sound. You know what I mean? And his body presence, you know, is really what makes it. This is good coverage by the corner too, but it's the body presence that really makes this, you know, a pretty ugly picture for the quarterback. All right, so looking up here, kind of working through this. So this is the backer, who's ratting him. Even though this is 3rd and 10, some people call it the no cover zone. This kid was pretty dynamic, the tailback. So we owned him. And you can see how like 52 is funneling this thing. And really what ends up happening is it's almost like a 2-man deal. He's got outside leverage. This is the nickel. He's got outside leverage. He's got inside leverage. We're going to funnel these 2 guys
Right to the free
safety. And like, look at the job that the nickel does. I mean, this is hot. Now he ends up a little bit on his inside hip. He really should be on his outside hip, but this is pretty good. You really wish he doesn't let him across his face, but this is a pretty good job by 52 also. Okay, so here we are in a match again. So this is 3-by-1. All right, so now what they did, this was the all-conference player right here. So these guys switched. And so the corner ended up playing, it's really the nickel spot. And then he ends up just going out here, which is fine. Like, let those guys do what they need to. So take a look at the mic. So now what ends up happening when they motion this thing in, all that is a tailback. So the mic and the backer are ratting him.
You left him?
Yeah. Hey, whoa, stop.
Now you see how this sorts it out? You see how, like, this guy's patient, so he's hanging in the hook because that's not a threat right now. And then once declaration happens, you just roll yourself up there and make a good tackle.
Yeah, that's tough because they're an empty out of that too.
They're an empty. So when you look at this, so these 2, this is the rover. He's got number 2. This is the corner. He's got number 1. This is an automatic buddy. So all they do is, then you can hear it. You can see him talking about it. Like, don't worry about it. Just like, let it sort itself out. Someone's going out. Someone's going vertical. That's it. Because if they don't do that, then it's a dumb route. Like, from an offensive standpoint. And then when 3 works himself back in, now it's these guys. Because this, like we said, this went from empty to 2-by-2. That's all this was. And then that motion just turns into a back flaring. And then we just get some good pressure on them, but I mean, you can see it, like, they're cooked. There's nowhere for the ball to go but there. Independent of the pressure. So you can see 25, that's my guy right there. Just sort itself out. Outside hip, funnel it to the free safety. Hips count his feet on the tackle. Okay, so now you get into, this is 21 personnel, 12 personnel, however you want to call it. But let's kind of go through how we're gonna sort this one. So this right here is the nickel. So they're bumping this thing. You can see how we sort this out. So when they motion to 3-by-1, so this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Watch these 2 guys right here. So this is the buddy example. So you see how it just sorts it out? Now, it's the rover, he's kind of panicking. Because remember, these 2 guys should be on him. So the defensive line does a great job to kind of bail us out on this one. Because 46 is not very good here. He's running with 3 when he doesn't need to. And normally we would make a yin and yang adjustment, but you see it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7. So he should be relating to the H as soon as this turns into 3x1.
Hey,
There's
Coach,
there's
you
a
wanna see
post
if
guy right there.
Coach Hill's in the waiting room there?
Okay.
No?
I don't see him.
Okay. He said he couldn't log in. I'm not sure.
Because it pops up when.
Yeah. That's all right. You can keep going.
Okay. Yeah. Just text me or
Yep.
just have him text you when he's in and I'll go check again. But you can see here's the free safety. So you can watch 46. So he's right now. He's got him. 52 and 34 are ratting him. But then boom, as soon as this happens, now there's 2, there's 3. And so now these 2 are the ones who should be ratting him. Because you can see it like what he's doing, he's excessive. You know what I mean? And he should be fitting. This is a screen killer. I mean, like, he should be killing this thing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got some good plays. Here's some bad ones. Okay, so here's 3. This is just a great view of the buddy. Watch what happens. So this is the mic. This is the whip. So, like, this is like the greatest example of the buddy. 2 goes behind 3. Boom. Switch it. It's easy. You know what I mean? And it's not, and it's no stress. Now, when you watch this, like, and the 15 is a really good player, but like he really screwed this thing up, and he screws it up because he doesn't take advantage of the help that he has. Like literally the only route that can hurt him is that. Like it's crazy. This is right before the half too. We end up winning this game, but like this one was a killer because it was, we were playing pretty good defense here, and and he knows it, like, because like as soon as he doesn't need to continue to get to here, because if he goes to the post is going to take him. If he goes to the post, like that's a bad play call. Like that's just bad football. So like, and he's a little bit of a fish out of water. This was, we didn't have nickel on the field. Like he's the whip. This is big nickel right here. So, but you can see, I like this one because it really talks about like taking advantage of where your help is. Okay, now you look at 27 and 46. 46 is right out here. These are the other goofballs. So they're relating to him. So watch what happens to 27. Bless his heart. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Because, like, look at this. There's a variety of things wrong with this. And in my mind, like, the main thing that's wrong with this is the quarterback's looking this way. That's the number one thing that is, like, 100% wrong with it. And then what makes it even worse is that literally we have another guy over there that is, he shouldn't be jumping that, which, he's doing a decent job. I don't think there's any reason to go up. He should be staying back and into that no cover zone, right? He should be hanging right there. But there's no reason to have 27. There's no reason to have that guy. Yeah, that one hurt. Okay. So similar situation. This is a route that's tough. So you see the difference between, it's kind of the same routes, from a like sort of working itself out, but like this, we're not switching. We're not switching this. So like right here, you're not switching it. There we go. Okay. Is this good film, guys? This isn't choppy, right? I put on the maximize.
Yeah,
this
no,
okay?
it's good.
Okay. So you can see like And 52, you guys have seen enough film now to know that 52 is a really good player. This was not his best play. But this duck combination, which is, two unders and a corner, this is tough to cover. This is not very well done, but it's tough to cover even if it is well done. But what I like about this is where you explain, guys, know where your help is. He is not doing a very good job because he should be, as soon as you know that you're not switching this, which you know that now, he should be driving on this guy to get underneath him on the outside. Now he's ultimately trying to get there, but he didn't take advantage of his where his help was. Okay, this is another good clip to kind of show what's happening here. So you see who this guy is right there. That's the boundary corner, and then this is the rover. So you see how we did this? So normally it's the rover and the backer are ratting him in 3x1. What we said was this was right before the half. So we made a double call. See it right there? Double call. So he locks this up. He plays over the top, and the backer was going anywhere he went. So we deployed our extra player, to the single receiver side. And that's what I like about not rolling safeties is you have that ability, to double up this guy if you need to, rather than doubling up the back. And you can see it's 2nd and 15, right before the half. Okay, so here's some good stuff with when you talk about hook players. This is not very well done, and it should have been really well done. We go to the end zone copy here. Watch 27. So 22 steps away. This is full slide protection. 22 steps away. 27 should be working right to his hook. And then watch where the ball goes.
Oh,
You know what I mean? It's
just get
nuts.
sucked in.
And it's like, you can't fault the corner because I go to the wide version. The leverage, granted, this is probably a little bit more cushion than we need to play. But as we've talked about, we're China guys. So, we play these guys off. And it's like, yes, you would like him to be a little bit more in phase, but, you can't bust balls too much on that. That's not the corner. That's the hook player. You know what I mean? And 52, him owning this, I'm okay with more for 52. 27, there's no excuse. 52, there's a little bit more excuse. They run enough screen and draw, and then plus the quarterback's view is that way. Like, I don't mind him, honoring him a little bit more in his hook, but this one is really bad. This is a cautionary tale right here in the match world. Okay, here's a 2x2. So I really like this one because, you're going to watch 34 for a second, but I think this one, look at 52. He does a really good job on this. Dig into his hook, and then 15, I think, is exceptional right here. This is about as good as you can get. And I think he gives him a little bit more cushion than he needs at the beginning, but I think this is really well done. I think this is really good by the free safety, reading the quarterback's eyes. So then now let's talk about 34 for a second. So we'll watch him right here. So we kind of gave him this freedom against this protection that if they had tailback away and this quarterback just didn't look anybody off, that wasn't a part of their progression. And so, we allowed them to kind of insert when you were opposite the tailback and insert this thing late. And I think he has an impact on the throw. I mean, I think it's certainly a good fit by that guy. But this is in the match realm, this is really well done by these guys. Okay, so I think we've talked about this before. I think we're top hatting this on the bottom. This, in my opinion, is like the greatest thing ever. Press the point, take the guy behind. Now we're bluffing this up front. So 52, you wish you would get out a little bit faster, but this is pretty well done by pretty much everybody. Like this is pretty good. Even if the guy catches the ball, he's getting paid. He's paying for it.
What do you call that? Man free or whatever or match bluff all go or something like that?
Yeah. So the coverage here is going to be. I think we're in field G. This might be our odd front, but it really doesn't matter. So the front call, which is back, G, match, bluff, gold.
Okay. So
like the bluff part, anything that comes after bluff. So gold is double barrel with these guys going. So if we want to bluff the pressure, we'll walk those guys up, and then they know they just run the coverage.
Okay.
But I've been fortunate. I've learned for some good guys on that do some smoke and mirror stuff. Bob Trott is a guy that he's most recently at East Carolina, was at James Madison before that, and then Richmond before that. And he's been in the NFL and been at Duke and some places. But he does such a good job with bluff and smoke and mirror stuff. And the best thing that he said was, he's like, we'll make bluff calls and we'll get people moving around, but it's you never let a bluff call screw up what you're supposed to do. So let's say we call it something where you were supposed to bluff, but we asked you to play the middle third. It's use your common sense. The coach made a mistake, or get out of there. You don't do it just, and that's always been the coaching point is the bluff stuff is great, but never use it as an excuse for bad alignment. If you have a tough job, you better get out of there faster. Now this, in my opinion, and this was right before the half, so that's why we were doing this stuff. But I think that, like I said, I think this is really well done by these guys. From a bluff standpoint, I think, you'd love to have 52 work a little bit wider, but from a, of what they're trying to do with this, I think this is pretty good. But yeah, that's the huddle call.
Okay.
So back, G, match, bluff, gold. And this works because, we run gold enough, and these guys are peel guys. So if you got that, you get this. So we run that enough. So that's the match film. Let me drag in. I think this is. No, it's not match yet. No, that's sync. Hang on. That's the wrong. Go into plays. Okay. So really just kind of talking through I want to show you the Y off stuff. So if you look at this fit right here, so like I said, these guys right here are gap players. So when 83 slices across like this, they're not going with it. We're handling those. We're handling that with these guys. And then you get a good look at, like, there's the box by the defensive end. You know, we're not going to wrong arm this because we really don't have anybody to wrong arm it to. You know, you can see we're gapped out. We got an alley guy coming, and then the guy opposite the slice is gonna fix the box. Here it is with just straight power. So now when you look at this one, you know, from a linebacker standpoint, we're gonna go and rock across with this because of the pull. You know, so whereas we don't treat the slicing, you know, sniffer as a puller, but we will treat that guy as a puller because of the adding the gap. And then when you look at it, you know, you get an overlap by the backer, and then the free safety really is the guy who makes the tackle because, you know, this backer is going to be leveraged out based on this tray block right there. Or that's a deuce, but same concept. So that kind of shows the from a Y-off standpoint, this is the way that match coverage fits. And then, like I said, I think this is where it's most powerful. I think that's the best deal going there.
Can we look at that with the huddle film against Wayne that we have, so we can talk through some of the alignments?
Yep.
So it's the HFL versus Wayne, but looking at Wayne on offense. Last time we were looking at HFL on offense.
Okay. So where do we put that?
Down
There it is.
other. Yep.
This one, HFS versus Wayne.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's when the white team is on offense.
Okay. Okay, 7-0 Cougars. Here we go. Okay.
So this
So-
is,
Yeah. I mean, this in my opinion, guys, this is killer. And I think you said this kid's pretty good, but he's gone.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. But you, I think you
But
also said
their
like,
system though, their
they're
system
staying
is
with
they
us.
put
Okay.
they stay, yeah, because they run that all the way down through JV and modified with that
Okay.
catch wire, the wing up there, and they'll do a bunch of different stuff.
Okay. So, you know, like, here's what you got to decide is like, can your, what I call the whip, what do you guys call the field guy?
It's going to be the whip. We changed the terminology. We're going to keep it
Outstanding
whip.
success. I would be happy. Okay. So can the whip hold up against this kid? That's the thing you got to decide. Because if he can't, you may have to, this is going to be tough. You know what I'm saying? Now, when I say hold up, like, it's not like he's going to have post help. He's going to have middle of the field help, so it's not like he's all alone and pregnant here, but, there are going to be some situations where can your guy handle this guy?
Well, and I think that's where when we start thinking, Colson, when we start thinking personnel-wise and we start looking at who we want to plug into different spots, having this, I think, is going to help kind of dictate, the personnel that we've got to have in some of those spots.
Yep.
And then like, there are some other ways to handle this too. Like, here's some things to kind of think about. Number one, like, maybe you can get away with playing the nickel against this team. If they're in this personnel grouping and you want to be in match the majority of the time, maybe you can pull this off that he's a nickel. The other way that you do it is if your safety's a better cover guy than your whip and they're in this, put the whip and the rover ratting him, and the free has him. I've done that in the past. just gonna pull up the whiteboard just so we can kind of play around with this thing. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's ways to kind of protect that thing, but you got to be honest about like, can that guy handle it?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, just between us, Jason, that whip, we kind of had thought process of Jake Day being that kid, right?
Yeah.
The whip.
Yep.
In your opinion, do you think he could handle in coverage against a slot?
Yeah, I mean, he can. Yeah, I think he can. He can probably hold his own.
I mean, the kid's an all-county defensive lacrosse player, so he's got to
Right.
have some pretty good hips, right, Greer? Good talk.
Yeah, yeah.
Good talk,
Caught him
guys.
napping.
Yeah,
And
so
Coach Hill is trying to get on. His system, it's sitting there trying to connect and it's not connecting. And
okay, yeah, because he's not popping up on the.
that's what I told myself. Just restart his system
Okay.
and go. But yeah, I mean, I think a kid like a Jake Day would be okay there. I think a kid like an Adam Smith or something along those lines is probably one of those utility players.
Yep.
You know.
And then here's the thing you got to think about. Like, let's just say, if the whip is one of your better players, switching the free safety and the whip might not be a bad move, against this set. Because like, not that he's wasted per se, but like he's kind of a one-trick pony in this sense. I'm setting this up on the Go Army stuff just so we can see this. So moving those guys around is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, and I think he's better out there on space anyway. Better than that than sometimes in the box.
Correct.
On some of that stuff. So
physicality wise.
Yeah.
So something like this. I mean, I firmly believe getting these guys. I just think
the tight end.
Getting those guys related that way, I just think is just such a huge deal. Like putting these guys right there and then making it clear, like, I mean, that is a powerful box. You're gonna struggle to run the ball.
Yeah.
So, and then like we said, if this.
Well, and you know what they're gonna do out of this, right?
Bubble.
Yeah, but you can't run the bubble.
It's going to be bubble.
Yeah, I mean the quarterbacks are just
Right.
have to be tough.
Are you talking about
Quarterbacks
like
just
this?
on the outside? Yes.
Yeah, but like with the leverage of this kid, that's a tough play.
Mm-hmm.
Because
or they'll try to reverse it and try to run tunnel and come inside.
Yeah, and do this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean that kind of puts. But this is where you kind of take, depending on backfield sets and stuff like this, widen these guys out, and I think you can. Yes, the RPO or the pre-snap RPO is going to be somewhat of a vulnerability.
Would you relate though? Would you relate kind of some of those other calls like the under calls and stuff like that with
100%.
Okay.
Like, so if you got this would be under all day, and he is just driving the hell out of this thing. And you're like, what we tell the whip is, sorry, I just changed him to the free safety, but like his job is not to make the tackle. His job is just to annihilate this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can then get this guy coming over and making the tackle. So as soon as he hears that under call, we're just going to destroy that guy. But I just think, I think this leverage right here, I just think that's a tough picture for a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Because there's no question, like, he has the, it looks good from a leverage standpoint, but I don't know. Like, I think with the outside shade of this guy, maybe that's just me, but like if you took a route like this the spot stuff, this isn't happening.
No.
Now I understand based on how the black team's aligning. It's a
Well,
pretty good
that's
play
it.
call.
They use the R4 metric for their play call stuff, and they're using the full suite. So
Okay.
they're just looking for instant bubbles, and if something becomes available, they're just trying to pick it apart and take advantage of it.
Okay, so same formation.
Yeah, they do a ton. Of
Okay,
this.
so here's power. I mean, you got enough guys. They should too. Come on, who's that? 56? Come on, 56. And then 24. What are we doing here?
And what they try to do with this is they'll run frontside power, and then they try to seal the backside.
Backside, yeah.
That way, if the power lane closes down, it's one step cut, and he just runs along the backside line.
Yeah. But this is really bad by this kid. Because this play should be dead in the water. Because I don't know if they always run this where he sprints out off it, but I'm not really sure what he's doing or what he's doing.
New York State high school football, Robert.
No, but but independent of that, it doesn't even matter. And I'm sorry to Joan that we should make fun of these guys. I should make fun of these guys.
No, he saw free. Oh, you got to optimize your screen.
So I think it was this, right? Those guys it was Gunfar.
No, I think the overhead. I think the attached tight end was on the. Oh yeah.
It was just flipped.
Yeah.
All right. So when you look at this, let me sorry. Should have had this.
No,
Yeah, so they're split. Okay. All right, so this is what it looks like. So when you look at this, now, like I said, personally, I like playing short G to this, or tail G, or field G to protect this stuff. Be smart with your front because you have the numbers. You don't need to worry about, you got enough guys. It's just what do you need to protect? Especially if they like to flip things out there, protecting the field, I think is a pretty good deal. So the way that this would look, we'll gap hinge, but they don't really gap hinge. You said they just kind of wash those guys down.
Yeah.
But the way that this is going to work.
After you kind of get done with this or on another session, can you just kind of go over, I didn't grow up a football guy, how you use the different types of G's to kind of, I guess, protect spots and stuff you know what I'm talking about or no?
Yeah. Absolutely. So just so in this sense, so and I don't know if they do this, but the play that would concern me is this out of this set. That play just scares me to death.
Oh yeah, I'll do it.
I mean,
do it.
I mean, and you can fit this out, there's no question, but this is even if you don't run it, this play scares me. But, and so what I'll try to do is when we're in the man-free world, I'll try to put the 3 technique to the tailback side as much as possible. Because what that will do is, and we're boxing everywhere anyways, but that just protects this guy a little bit more. So when you get, whether they gap hinge or whatever, it doesn't really, they zone this thing off. This guy does not have, there's no reason to do that. He's just going to kind of be hanging out here. And, our deal was blow the shit out of that guy, or you got to take the quarterback, one of the two, to allow this guy to fit off you.
Okay.
But in the man-free world, I'll try to set this to the offset tailback for that reason, because I'm asking this guy to box.
Okay.
Now in the zone world, it really kind of depends on who you're trying to protect. I think in high school, because those hashes are so wide, I think you can never go wrong playing field G. Yeah. Where it's just let's protect the field overhang.
Well, and that's the tendencies. The tendencies are mid 60% to low 70% field side.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And
on
then,
most
and
of
then,
those guys.
you know, obviously the tight end's a big deal also, you know, so you really just have to see who you're playing.
What their tendencies are as far as running and stuff like that.
No doubt. Like, you know, find out, you know, like, because there's also, you may find out people are like right-handed. There's stupid shit that people do. You know, it's like they just run to the right side. Or there was a team literally that their whole offense was based on their bench. And so like, you
Well,
know,
their
we would
coaches
call,
see that side of the field
yeah.
better,
And it was
and they're
just
calling the
like,
stuff that they can see.
this guy pissed me off because it's just like lazy. But like that was literally what it was. Like he would just call plays to his bench so it'd be easier to call things in and it's easier for them to see. It's just like stupid shit like that where it's like, wait, this isn't a strong and weak thing. This isn't a left and right thing. They're just going to their bench. You know, and they would get it on the hash over there. Like, you know, if the ball started on our side of the field, they'd run like toss or something to the wide side
Just
of
to
the field
move the
and
ball.
then not let it go. Like you just call, you know, bench G, like just silly stuff like that. But find out where their tendencies are. And then, you know, from an offensive standpoint, offensive guys are, and this is my opinion, Jason, of offensive guys. So if I'm wrong, but you know, offensive guys are trying to find this, the B-gap bubble.
Yeah.
It's like, where is your B-gap bubble? That is going to be the best place to run the football. Like, you know, and so defensive guy is, all right, I need to put my three technique in different spots so they can't find the bubble. You know what I mean? Because like if you took inside zone, you know, inside zone is best run to an A-gap shade. That's the
Also, they can press to the linebacker and get them to fold, and then they one step back and
yeah. So like that's just kind of like I always consider the placement of the three technique really to be that chess match. So let's go power real quick. We'll gap hinge right there. So this guy's leveraged out. Let's say this guy's leveraged out too. Let me get off of curved lines. It's too late in the day. He's leveraged out the mic. So he's cooked. The backer, this is the new B gap. So he's going to pry that. The tight end's going to block out on your end, but he's going to box everything because can't block him.
Mm-hmm. So it takes care of frontside power.
Yep, which you can't do it. And then like if you're saying that they're a big cutback team, and I can pull up film of this. I don't know. I literally can find it right now out of our odd front, but like, you know, technically this is the cleanup guy. But if you're worried about like cutback, just swirl him down right there.
Yeah, that's probably the better for us. That's probably the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now he's got to be good, like, because technically, like, if they ran pass or something, like, you know, he's got to be the post player. You know, ultimately, you know, so you can't like because of the leverage that we're playing here, you can't like screw these guys completely. But you know, find out their play action tendencies. But like you look at this, you got the numbers all day.
Right.
You know, and I drew this up without even saying I need this guy to win. You know, it's like he's leveraged. You know, but the Mike potentially could get a win. I mean, there's just so many things that could happen. But like this guy's going to make the tackle, and then you have this guy as a cleanup guy. Okay, so 3x1. Take a look at, you know, like from a tendency standpoint. So this guy's in the pistol. It's kind of tough to tell. Is he in the pistol?
He's in the pistol. Yep.
Okay, so that's going to be some work then. You guys got to look like, and I would
That's
use
why they hide him back there in the pistol.
Okay, I would use the Y and run some numbers and just see like, you know, I mean, we're only 2 plays into this bad boy, but they've run the last 2 plays at the Y. And if this kid's a stud, maybe it's different this year, but there's power. Same thing. This should be dead in the water.
And does a little better job this time.
Yeah. Come on, 58. Okay, so is the tight end on the field?
Yeah. He's in the slot.
Where is he? Is he this guy?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so, and this like literally looks like dead nuts in the middle, pistol.
Mhm.
In my opinion, this is going to be a Liz. You're going to set it to speed, so the whip or the nickel or whoever is going to go here. The rover is going to flex out. No reason to yin and yang the Y because there's no Y off. This would play out just like normal match.
Most of the stuff they run out of this is mesh anyway, or a lot of it is.
Okay. But you can see and this is a good route combination against man free. Really is. Okay, so, and this is the Y right here.
Yep.
So this would play out the exact same way. And this is truly where this came from. The Virginia Tech version of this is now it was under center, but it was really, it was all about fullbacks in the backfield and the ability of those guys to add themselves to both sides of the formation. And so that's where, all this stuff could be handled the same way. Ooh, low hanging fruit. Come on now.
Yeah, vacate.
Come on now. Okay, so let's just kind of talk through this is the way that this would work.
Yep, because they're both related to the tail.
So the linebackers. So let's get these guys. So it was slants, right?
I think so. Yeah, yep.
Okay. So first thing, he's gone. So
Now, do you usually treat him then once he vacates out of the backfield like that? Do you treat that like a 3-by-1 and then have the backers relate to the fullback?
Well, so here's the thing. Remember how we do this? Let me change the W and the F back so we can keep this consistent. So right now, the rover and the free safety are related to the tight end. And we're saying they always relate to we always say the slowest, whoever the blocking back is. And in this case, there's no question who the blocking back is. So you can handle this. You can game plan this in any way that you wanted to. You can handle this any way that you want to. But if we were to just say they never played this before, or you didn't have scrimmage tape, and this is the first snap of the year, what would end up happening is, so he goes there, the mic goes there, that's what happens. And then the free safety is the post player. Because like you said, that was how it would, if you applied the rule, this is now a new 3. And then when he goes here, who's going to take him?
Theoretically, should be the whip, no?
No doubt. Because that's a flat stem.
Yeah.
That's the flattest stem in the history of stems. So he's going there. The mic's taking him. The backer, because where the backer is, so we lost. These are the new hook players. So now he is the strong hook player. The rover is the weak hook player. And then that's the way that it's going to sort itself out. So it's the mic that's going to end up taking this. The whip is really going to hang in this window because that's a dummy route. And it's going to end up looking like that. Guess we
Right.
should put the corner on him, but this is the way that this is going to sort itself out. If you would just apply the rule. Because all this is, like if you take away the motion,
Right.
that's all that is. Or bubble or whatever. But it's certainly a flat stem that engages that buddy rule.
The
Between
buddy
two
roll
and three.
between the whip and the mic.
Yep.
Yep.
And then so you still have two hook players. You still got a post player. There's no longer a reason to yin and yang here. So it really everything would stay the same. If you consider that to be an exit deal, the other things that you can do, obviously, you could spin them down, spin him here, and relate those two guys, and just, if the free safety, if the safety is moving, is going to be how you handle the three. But guys, when I talk to players, it's like the language you use is low hanging fruit, and it's like number 6. I'm sure he's a nice boy, and he's looks to be halfway put together. But this is 3rd and 3, and he's 11 yards from a first down, running sideways. I know that's what you were supposed to do, buddy, but come on now. Why are they doing these things? Okay, get back to it. Nice, this is a good play. Another sieve up front. They're just running power in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where, independent of the motion, you got some issues. Let's just put these guys back. Tight end of the field.
I didn't see.
So I know it's not completely on the hash, but it's close enough. So remember, in my opinion, you never put the whip into the boundary. I just think that's asking for trouble. And just watching these guys, if you start putting your passing strength into the boundary, they'll do this all day, or they should do that all day. If that's the way that they're going to get that. So the FSL rule that we played was against Y-off teams is just like one of those adjustments that we talked about. Have the whip and the free safety right at the tight end. And so now when the motion comes, all that's happening is he's going to spin down, he's going to move over, he's going to go back, and it goes back to normal. Good there? So
Yeah.
this part of it, they would end up owning that one, and then it's just power. And you got that thing fit. Oh, he's gonna be. And we got everybody gapped out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, Rob, quick question for you.
Yeah.
Say you notice a trend where they're running to the Y offside. Would you start thinking about slanting the D lineman towards the Y offside, or no?
I'm not crazy about the slant part of it, just
Okay.
because I think that opens up. That has a tendency to open up creases.
Okay.
So like just some things that I think the stunning aspect of it can be good, but not a full line slant. You know, because like if you got something like this, you know, then you know now you're opening this stuff up over there.
Okay.
So really, the ones that I like, you know, depending on the plays that they run, but the stunt that I really like is this one, and we just call it Whisper. This guy goes and really he's a contained guy through the tackle, but like what you end up getting here is you get an extra, you know, you get an extra defensive, like you almost get an extra linebacker here. Let me go to the curved line. But really what ends up happening is like, so this guy like folds in behind it. So let's just say it's power or something like that. You know, so this guy's going to block down. He should get bubbled back like no one's business. You know, this guy's going to block down, and now it's like an automatic wrong arm. And then just from a linebacker standpoint, you know, you end up having the safeties coming down because of this block. And I just think you get an extra hat in there. Hang on, Joey, can you say hi to the guys? All right, good job. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be asleep, but
Buzz Lightyear never sleeps.
Buzz Lightyear never sleep. Can you go see mom? No. Okay. But
Got a galaxy to protect.
Colson, does that make sense here?
Yes.
So I really like this one. The other one that I really like that, just from a two-man game standpoint, is getting that stunt. You know, because it kind of gets the same thing where if you work through the center and like the three technique, or it doesn't really matter where you're placing the three technique, but the first D lineman,
Mm-hmm.
you know, his job is just to kidney that center. And then
Well, the center's trying to block back anyway because
he's trying to. Well, that's what I'm saying. If they
Right.
show tendencies on power that they're going that way, now I would assume they better run counter back the other way.
Oh, they do.
Oh yeah.
But you, I mean,
We
you
got
still have the
this
numbers
year.
as long as these guys are reading properly. You still have the numbers, but it's like, you know, if this was me, you know, you got to. This is why, like, you know, I play chess with my boys and things like that, because you really have to say, all right, so on paper, you know, you're going to try to run power until you can't. Okay, so I know, you know, I can run these stunts, or, you know, I can run this stunt, but like eventually you're going to come back at me. You know, so like, what's my answer there? It's like, all right, well, I'm going to start running these guys. You know, and just being ready to say, you know, like how many times do I need to stop power before you run counter? You know, and then going from there. So I just like that better than the full line stunt, just because the full line stunt scares me, to be honest with you. But if you are going to do it, this is how you should do it. Make it like an odd front thing where the front of the train is what we called this guy. We always like folded this guy back in.
Okay.
Just to at least take the A cut back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like he ended up, because like we had this guy bubbling through, and like he was contained-ish, but like what ended, like the reason why this came about is because this guy would end up like up here.
You're never,
You know, and
never.
it's like he's like, oh, I'm rocking the front. It's like, great, you're not doing anything. Like, yeah, so we just said like, if you got action, you know, whether it's slice or something, you know, you go and kind of fix these guys so, you know, they can really go and fast flow that thing. You know, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I always liked that with the full line stunt. All right, 3rd and 12. What are we doing here?
Little draw.
Okay. Nice. This is a good play. I assume depth really shows you this, though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Nice little bunch. Oh, come on, guys. Everyone's going. Everyone's going. No. So what's your basic box rule? Or your basic bunch rule?
Well, so we played around with that a little bit last year because we had some teams that did some different things out of bunch. We would have teams run a lot of stretch stuff. With the run, we would have they do a lot of your mismatch passing stuff where they'll bring, they'll get the first two guys out and then they'll drag somebody up underneath them.
No doubt.
So last year was actually the first year that we really ran into teams that started kind of playing around with bunch. We ran it some. We ran it just kind of trialing some stuff with some speed option stuff and things like that. But
Okay, so I'm just going to give you a couple rules. So, there's obviously got to be there's limitations on what the offense can do. So, we got to have some answers. Here, really the one that I like the most, and I like this one the most just because it's just sound and makes sense. But if you just do. So if you play box rules with some bingo adjustments to it. So what I like about this one is it gives you the ability to go 5/4 if they're in a situation to go 5/4, and you're good 2/1. So the rule here is, so you can see the box. Just get these guys going. Okay, so. There's your box ish. So it's pretty self-explanatory. He's got first out, he's got first in, sort of. We'll deal with that in just a second. We'll put him in weak for a minute just for explanation. He's got first in, he's got first vertical in, he's got first vertical out. But so that this is the good one that I like. If one stays one, straight lines. If one stays one, this guy ends up owning him, and he cuts him off. And so this turns into kind of like the way that you would play cover one. Because really you got to think about what's going to be happening is most likely he's going in, he's going out. And so let these guys sort themselves, and then we're good against those guys. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, so then the question is well, what if one goes behind two? So if you got something like this, it's as soon as you get that, this is the best case scenario for the box world, because now it will sort itself out the way that it's supposed to. Because most likely you're going to get something that looks like this. And so no matter what happens, he's taking the out. He takes the first in. Let's just say we're not going to push this thing. He's going to go there, and then he's going to take this one. So that's just called the bingo rule. Now the teams get smart and they start bringing these guys in, and now it's 4. And so if they're using 4, you got to use 5. So the rule that we do is if 4 is involved, and these guys are in pistol, so you got to consider him to be a 4. So we would push this one. So the Mike would push this off, and then he would just sit right in the spot. So if you got something like this, because guys are doing this, and then, people are following this stuff, like you go vertical and, you know, you get something that looks like that. But it's so the mic pushes the crosser and then everybody plays it out. But I would get out of the man-free world against this. I would have an adjustment. So like right here, one is behind two. This should sort itself out. And this is 4 strong, no question, because
You're right.
he already exited. So like he's out of this. So really it just kind of depends on like how you want to handle it. You either handle it one of 2 ways, you know, leave the whip, you know, and then run one of the linebackers out there with him. But here's your box. You know, so what did they do? One went there. It was 2 went there. Something like this.
Yep.
So the backer takes the low guy. You know, he's going to take this one, and the corner's going to take that one. Knowing that you also have a backside presence here, you know, to help these guys out.
Mhm.
That's the way that this would sort itself out with him.
I think
being
that's the way on the film. I think that's the way that they tried to HFL tried to cover it. It just the backside backer kind of got caught.
Yeah, so let's see here. Yeah, it was this guy. Or this guy. They didn't sort that one right.
Mhm.
Or this guy. Because they rushed 4, so their rover was over here already.
You're right.
So they picked this thing up. Good for them. Nice 4th and 6. Got 11. A wide zone. Nice. Now is this is different personnel?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they popped that other fullback in there because they have a true fullback.
Okay, so this is
22.
wide, this is F.
Yeah.
Now just tell me, say like, would you guys match personnel? Like, so will you guys bring somebody else? Like, how would you handle this? Now this is like true 21 personnel or true 12 personnel.
Yeah, this year I think we would, right, Colson? We're looking at that kind of that goal. We talked about our kind of our goal line defensive front and kind of instead of just rolling it as an alignment, we're gonna I think roll it in as a full package. So anything that's kind of short and inside like this, I think we'll have a personnel package that's set up to match it.
Okay. Would these guys run this in the middle of the field?
No.
No.
Oh, it's only down low? Okay.
Mhm.
And I assume they're doing the same thing, just running wide zone and
That's
power.
it. Inside zone, outside zone. Yep.
Yeah. Perfect.
Anytime they fold up and bunch up like that, it's inside zone, outside zone.
Oh, little Wanda. This is outstanding right here, though. Weak side,
backside.
outside zone is phenomenal. Oh, you can't do that, though.
Gotta keep pushing the corner.
Oh, no. This is a great play. Just score. Same personnel grouping now. He's just in the sidecar.
Yep.
Just running power. This is where that like cat defense with the stand-up guys. It's like, come on, man. It's like I need more out of you than that. It's 4th and 2 here, man. Like, can't give them that. That's a good run, though. Yeah. So honestly, guys, I think this has a huge place against these guys. You know, because like really, when you get to like even talking about some of the motions and the split stuff, like it's easily handled as long as, you guys just got to make a decision, based on tendencies and based on your personnel, what works out better for you.
Well, and I
So
think because of the football IQ of the players that we have, because we've kind of been grooming them for 4 or 5 years now, they have a really, really high football IQ. So if we give them some leverage, even if it's wrong, even if they make the wrong call on the field, they're at least all going to be doing the same thing.
yeah.
Right.
But if you guys get people triggering downhill, if you're interior people, let's just go back to,
We got some of those this year, finally.
like I think that can be a killer. Where you can present a really strong box. And like I said, like, you kind of said also that, from an alignment standpoint, this is asking them to throw the ball out here.
Right.
But if you're sitting here with your whip on the line of scrimmage with outside leverage, it's like, I don't know if those easy, RPOs are going to fall into their lap like this. So I think there's some
Which
good
is
stuff
essentially
there.
how, I think that's essentially how we played it last year. I think we had some stuff wrong with our box because we just got tore up on inside zone. We just couldn't adjust to it. I don't know if we just had guys missing gaps or what, but you can see we took away a lot of their stuff. They weren't able to throw a lot of the quick stuff. They weren't able to throw a lot of the bubble stuff, but they just freaking gutted us on the inside.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that was over penetration of linemen.
Yep.
A number of things that we've kind of talked about. Don't you think, Colson?
Yep, 100% agree. There wasn't much gap integrity last year. It was the wild, wild west at the defensive line.
Okay. Yeah, and that is like foundation, and I've been having the same conversation with guys. It's like, it really doesn't even matter what defense you run, but if somebody ends up in the wrong place where they're supposed to be, like, it turns into a bad defense pretty quick.
Well, and they were efficient at running inside zone stuff, and because our D line was getting so much penetration, they were basically overrunning the double team, and it was letting the guys come free down to the backer.
Yeah.
And our backers were just covered up, and they couldn't.
Bunch of free runs by the linemen to the second level.
Yeah, because like against zone teams, I think that I don't think movement up front helps against zone teams just because it just declares for them, because they're on their track. So it doesn't really matter. You spike one way or the other. It's like you've made it easier.
Yeah.
Because now you just stay on that track and go. Let me stop this thing. Guys, this is great. I think this is really good. I hope you guys are getting something out of this also.